Shalom, it's Priest Kalak Rakah. About to get into this lesson today. I'm gonna go into the New Year, the pagan origins of New Year, and what we should be really celebrating today, which would be Hanukkah. Also, I'm gonna get into the Haitian Revolution, which is prophecy being fulfilled on this day also, because today, January 1st, is the Haitian independence, which Haiti got in January 1st, 1804. Right. So I'm gonna start off with Britannica.com, and I'm gonna read on the Roman deity named Janus, right? Janus in Roman religion, the animistic spirit of doorways and archways. Janus, the nymph Camisine, were the parent. Janus and the nymph Camisine were the parents of Tiberinus, whose death in or by the river Albula caused it to be renamed Tiber. I'm gonna go down a little bit. It says the worship of Janus traditionally dated back to Romulus. Romulus is the person that founded Rome. Rome was named after Romulus. And a period even before the actual founding of the city of Rome. So Janus was actually worshipped before Rome. It was a patron deity of Rome, but he was worshipped before Rome even became a city, before it came a place, right? It says there were many Jani, ceremonial gateways in Rome. There were usually freestanding structures that were used for symbolically auspicious entrances or exits. When you look at many different pictures of Rome, you see a whole bunch of different archways that, just freestanding archways that people will walk under. Their whole reason was to give them good luck and that, I guess their deity would be with them, or so on and so forth, right? So it says, I'm gonna read on. It says, particularly superstition was attached to the departure of a Roman army, for which they were lucky and unlucky ways to march through a Janus. The most famous Janus in Rome was the Janus Geminus, which was actually a shrine of Janus at the north side of the Forum. It was a simple rectangular bronze structure with double doors at each end. Traditionally, the doors of this shrine were left open, and damn, they sending so much left open. I don't know if that's even popping up. I hope not. At the door, traditionally, the doors was of the shrine were left open in time of war and were kept closed when Rome was at peace. According to Roman historian Livy, the gates were closed only twice in all the long period between Numa Pompilius in 7th century BC and Augustus in the 1st century BC. So the army, they will make their army pass through. They dedicated all their wars. They felt like they did that so that they could win all their wars, that Janus would be with them. All right, I'm going to read on. It says, some scholars regard Janus as a god of all beginnings and believe that his association with doorways is derivative. He was invoked as the first of any gods in regular liturgies. The beginning of the day, That's no problem. The beginning of the day, month, and year, both cylindrical and agricultural, was sacred to him. So they will worship him. They gave him the beginning of the day was dedicated to Janus. The beginning of the months was dedicated to Janus, and the beginning of the year was dedicated to Janus. Right. The beginning, everything that's the beginning, that was dedicated to him. He was the god of all beginners. Right. I'm gonna read on. It says, I'm gonna read on. It says, the month of January, which we're supposedly in now, the month of January is named for him. And his festival took place on January 9th, the Agonium, right? So January, this month, is named after that deity, the Roman deity Janus. January. right? It says there were several important temples erected to Janus, and it is assumed that there was also an early cult on the Janiculum, which the ancients took to mean the city of Janus. Janus was represented by a double-faced head, and he was represented in art either with or without a beard. Occasionally, he was depicted as a um, four-face as the spirit of the four-way arch, right? So that's just one thing. It's showing that he's the beginning. He was the god of the beginnings. So they dedicated the new year to him, and they named the month January after him because they said it's the beginning month, right? I'm gonna go to World History Encyclopedia. It's got they messed up on a few things in here, but the majority of it is good, right? This is World History Encyclopedia Janus. It says the Roman Republic owed much to the cultural influence of its Greek neighbors, which is facts, right? When you look at the Greek deities and the Roman deities, they all the same, just different names. Like you got Zeus is Jupiter, Saturn is Kronos, Pluto Hades, Poseidon is Neptune, so on and so forth. Demeter Ceres, Hera Juno. You feel what I'm saying? It's all the same deities, right? Shalom, shalom, right?
Shalom.
So it says the Roman Republic owed much to the cultural influence of its Greek neighbors. For centuries, the Greeks occupied a prominent position to the south on the island of Sicily. A series of wars in the 2nd and 3rd centuries BCE brought to the city a tremendous Hellenic presence. Hellenic means Greek, a Greek presence. Art, literature, philosophy, and most significantly, religion. Although a rich religious tradition had existed long before the arrival of the Greeks, so he let you know, before they brought the Greek pantheon over there, they already had their own religious thing going on in Rome. It says, I'm gonna read that again. Although a rich religious tradition had existed long before the arrival of the Greeks, the pantheon of the Greek gods quickly merged with those already present. However, there was one god with no Greek counterpart. Guess who that is? Your boy Janus, right? It said one god with no Greek counterpart, one who symbolized both beginning and end. His name was evoked even before that of Jupiter. His name was Janus. Now, Jupiter is Zeus. Everybody knows Zeus. Everybody knows Jupiter. This is one of the most popular and well-worshipped deities. But the Romans worship, they let you know, they worship Janus above Jupiter. Before they say Jupiter's name, they had to bring out Janus' name, right? This is how big he was in Rome, which means we need to stay far away from anything that deals with Janus, right? It says, despite the influence of these newly arrived gods, there was one significant difference between Greek and Roman worship: the importance of rituals, right? The Greeks wasn't big on certain different rituals, but the Romans were. You had to be exact with your rituals, right? It says, to the Romans, rituals were extremely important. They were a veiled attempt to avoid the danger of religious zeal. If a ritual were performed properly, an individual would be rewarded. If not, he could be punished. This reliance would continue long after the arrival of the Greek pantheon, right? I'm going to read on. Roman rituals and gods. Initially, even before the Capitoline Triad, Roman religion was based on the cult of the household, a belief that spirits or noumena inhabited everything around them, people included. There was an array of domestic deities. Vesta, the spirit of the hearth, later to be associated with the Vestal Virgins. Penates, the guardian of the pantry, later protector of the Roman state. Law Familiaris, the spirit of the cultivated land, also the guardian of the family fortune. And lastly, Janus, the spirit of the doorway, or Yenua. Although usually benign, these spirits could be angered, especially if ignored, so you had to pay them homage. Every home contained a small cupboard containing their images, and a small portion of each meal honored them. So they gave them the meals, sacrifices, so on and so forth. They honored and worshiped these deities. Eventually, many of these household spirits became state deities. Janus legend, right? I'm gonna go down a little bit. I'm gonna just read a little bit of this. Do I really want to read all of it? I really don't want to get into all of this, but I'm gonna read some of it. It says Janus legends and attributes. Janus was one of the earliest of the Roman deities, sometimes referred to as the god of gods. So they looking at him like he's the most high god. They looking at him like he was the god of everything. All the other gods came from him. Or Deum Dio. Others equated him with the Etruscan god Kokins. If you look in the history, the Etruscans actually was Japhites. They ran Rome before the Romulus and all that stuff, right? It says, however, there are at least two notable myths concerning his origin, and according to both, unlike others, Romans and Greek gods, Janus may have actually lived. Well, this is nonsense. But let me go down. According to some, let me jump down. It says, according to some, he was a custodian of the universe, but to all Romans, he was the god of the beginnings and the ends, presiding over every entrance and departure. And because every doorway and passageway looks in two directions, Janus was seen as Two-Face and Janus Bifrons, the god who looked both ways, because he had two heads. Always pictures of him with two heads. Two faces, I should say. One head, two faces. The guy who looked both ways. He was a gatekeeper. His symbols were a porter's staff or virga and a set of keys, because he had the door. He was a god of the doorway, so he was able to get into all doors. To illustrate his importance, his name was even mentioned before Jupiter in prayer. So when they prayed to the deities, they'll pray to him first, because he was that much important. I mean, they really worshiped this deity. He protected the start of all activities. He inaugurated the seasons. The first day of each month was considered sacred to him, but the first month of the year, January, which many in the present day considered named in his honor, which it was, January, Janus, was actually named for Juno. That's a lie. They wrong. June was named after Juno. Juno is Hera, queen of the gods. Early Romans coins featured his image, showing him as Two-Face, one bearded and one clean-shaven. Later, during the Renaissance, this image of the two faces would present not only the past and future, but also wisdom, right? There's a lot more going on this. I don't want to spend too much time on the Most High Sabbath on this. I just wanted to show that, we not supposed to be dealing with any other deities. If you celebrating the New Year's now, that means the end of one year and the beginning of a new year, you're celebrating Janus. If you're looking at this is a new year and January is, so on and so forth, you're celebrating Janus, you need to stop all that, right? So let's get into scriptures. This is what we should be celebrating today. Today is the Most High Sabbath. Not only is today the Most High Sabbath, right? Not only today is the Most High Sabbath, but right now we dealing with Hanukkah. We're in the midst of Hanukkah right now, right? Let's get the book of First Maccabees. Let's get the book of First Maccabees. We're gonna start from the top.
Con. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1. And it happened, after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of Persians, and Medes, that he reigned in the stead the first over Greece.
Right. So this is letting you know what time period we dealing with. This letting you know what time period we dealing with. This is Alexander the Greek, which they call Alexander the Great, the son of Philip the Macedonian, came out of the land of Chittim, which is the land of Greece, right? Like, you know, he beat Darius, the king of the Persians and Medes, and he became the first leader in his way over Greece, all of Greece, right? You can read on.
And made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth.
Right, so Alexander, I ain't gonna front, he was getting it in. He was going around conquering everything. Right, read on.
And went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations. So much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up.
Right, he was feeling himself. You feel what I'm saying? People were scared of him. He was feeling himself. They gave him the name Alexander the Great. Right, but we could read on.
And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries, and nations, and kings, who became tributaries unto him.
Right, so he was taking over everything. You could read on.
And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die.
Right, now Alexander, he was a homo. He was gay, right? I should have put it like that. He's a homosexual. He dealt with men. He wound up catching some type of STD that killed him, right? But read on. I forget what it was, but he caught an STD that killed him.
Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive.
Right. So while he was yet alive, while he was on his deathbed, he had four generals that wound up parting his kingdom. But we're going to read on.
So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them, many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth.
They said evils was multiplied in the earth. After Alexander, he had four major generals that they took. They parted his kingdom. It was Ptolemy. He took Egypt. He had Seleucus, which had Seleucus had Mesopotamia and Iran. Cassander took over Greece, and Lysimachus ruled thrice. Right, you can read on.
And there came out of them a wicked root, and Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes.
Antiochus Epiphanes, he was around, I want to say around the year 175, if I believe correctly, 175 BC. He was a descendant of Seleucus, out of the Seleucid Empire, which had control of all of Mesopotamia, Iran, Israel, all that area. You can read on.
Son of Antiochus, the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
Of 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks, that's when he reigned, right? Read.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. And
the crazy thing is the same thing goes on to this day. We had back then coon Negroes, you know what I mean, that wanted to go and make peace with everybody else. They want to be along with everybody else, get along and do what everybody else is doing, right? Read on.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Right, so they went to the king, and the king gave them license. He said, yeah, I could follow after the heathen and all that.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
Right, which we know the Greeks used to exercise naked. They did their exercises, the Greco-Roman wrestling, all them. Right, all that stuff, the Olympics, the Romans and Greeks did all that stuff, and they did that all naked. There was a lot of homosexuals and pedophiles, and they did all type of debaucheries, right? So this is what they was bringing into Israel. They actually built a gymnasium to be like the Greeks. A lot of our people wanted to follow after the Greeks. It's sad, but let's go on.
And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the covenant.
Now made themselves uncircumcised, the Greek freaks, right? Now they made themselves uncircumcised. Now this is a spiritual thing, but they was actually our people was actually there was a certain a surgical procedure that they was doing, actually adding foreskins back, because you exercising naked, everybody could see if you're circumcised or not. We was the only people that was getting circumcised, and our people did not want to stick out and look different than everybody else. So they was actually doing this to look like they were circumcised, not circumcised like everybody else. This the wickedness that our people was doing, right? You can read on.
And joined themselves to the heathen,
Uh-huh.
and were sold to do mischief.
Right.
Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion over dominion of two realms.
Right. So he went and fought against the Ptolemaic dynasty. The Ptolemaic dynasty. A lot of people don't realize. Like, for instance, I know they was getting mad when they was talking about Cleopatra. Cleopatra was a black woman. They making her white. Cleopatra was a descendant of the Greeks. This is proven facts. She was a daughter of Ptolemy. The Ptolemaic line was a Greek line. They took over. That was Alexander's general, one of his top generals. They took over Egypt, and they did incest. The Ptolemies, the men would marry their sisters and so on and so forth. They kept it strictly Greek. So it was a whole bunch of Greeks. Cleopatra was a honky, right? Right? Let's go on.
Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude,
right,
with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy.
Right. So say Antiochus wanted to take over the Egypt and add that part of the Seleucid Empire. Right. You can read on.
And made war against
Ptolemy,
king of Egypt.
So he made war. This Greek made war with another Greek that ruled Egypt. Right. Read on.
But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death.
Right. So Ptolemy left, he fled, all that, so on and so forth. A lot of people got killed over this war. But read on.
Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year.
Right.
And went up against Israel and Jerusalem.
Right. So he had control. Antiochus had control of Mesopotamia, the Middle East area, but they didn't have full control of Israel at the time. When Alexander, there's stories of when Alexander went into Israel. When here, let me look at this real quick, Salakia. I'm just now looking at the real chat. I got Shabbat Shalom, everybody. You know what I mean? Right now, when Alexander went into Israel the first time, they said he went there. He went to the temple and seen the priest. The priest came out and met him. He said he seen how glorious the priest was looking. He was like, "Yo, leave this place alone. Don't touch these people." He was scared. He was like, "Yo, they treat their priests like this because a lot of places the priest was looking like bums. They walking around with sackcloth and robes like monks and all that." Now, when it came to Israel, our priest was decked out. So he was like, "Yo, they treat their priests like this. That means that their God is dealing with them. Leave them alone. We're not touching these people." So Antiochus later on, he came in and he was like, "Yo," he didn't care nothing about that, right? Yeah, you go ahead and read on.
And went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. And entered proudly into the sanctuary.
And he entered proudly into the sanctuary. According to our customs, our laws, a heathen is not supposed to step in our sanctuary. Not supposed to go nowhere. They not supposed to enter in through the gates. They not supposed to get in there. The outer court is for them. You feel what I'm saying? They not supposed to come in our sanctuary. He went in our sanctuary just by doing that, defiled our sanctuary. Right? But read on.
And took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light.
Right. So all of the stuff that was made and honored by the Most High, to the Most High, our menorah, our golden menorah, He took that out of there. He took everything. He had special vessels that was honored and dedicated, and it was for the Most High's work. They took all that out of there, right? They robbed our temple. Read on.
And all the vessels thereof,
Uh-huh.
and the table of shewbread, and the pouring vessels.
All these things was solid gold, right? And he took all that out of there, right? Read on.
And the vials,
Uh-huh.
and the corners of gold,
Uh-huh.
and the veil.
The censers of gold.
Oh, Slaki. And the crowns,
Uh-huh.
and the golden ornaments
Uh-huh.
that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
Yeah, so he took everything. He really went in there and disrespected us, disrespected the Most High, and took all his things out of the temple. Right? Read on.
He took also the silver and the gold
Uh-huh.
and the precious vessels.
Uh-huh.
Also he took the hidden treasures which he found.
Right. All the gold, everything that we had in there, the types that was put in there, the arms that was put in there, he took all that. Right? Read on.
And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly.
So he was talking crazy. He killed off a lot of our people, and he was talking crazy when he got back, like we was nothing, like our God is nothing. You feel what I'm saying? Straight disrespected the Most High. Right? Read on.
Therefore, there was great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were.
Right. So Israel, of course, they mourned after that. You sad. Like, yo, you went in there, you just straight disrespected our deity. You disrespected our God, our power, our Father. You know what I mean? Israel was mourning. A lot of our people died. You disrespected, defiled our temple. Like, we was in mourning at that time. Right? Read on.
So that the princes and elders mourned.
Mm-hmm.
The virgins and young men were made feeble.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of woman was changed.
Right. So it's sad. You see a sister crying or you know what I mean? They sad. They're not looking beautiful like they was looking before. Right? Read on.
Every bridegroom took up lamentation.
Right.
And she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness.
Yeah, so they saying the bridegrooms, the husbands and wives, those that's about to get married, they can't even be happy right now. They sad because of what's going on in their land. Right? But read on.
The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the houses of Jacob was covered with confusion.
Right, read on.
And after 2 years fully expired.
So 2 years, after 2 years of this happening, right? Read on.
The king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah.
So this king, Antiochus, he sent his collector. He sent somebody out there to tax Israel, right? But read on.
Who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude.
So he came there with an army. You're not coming there in peace. You came there with an army already. Read.
And spake peaceable words unto them.
And this is just like Esau too. His words smoother than butter, but in his heart is war. You know what I mean? He came here, came talking all like everything is smooth, everything is sweet, right? And did what?
But all was deceit.
All was deceit, deceitful bastards, right? Read on.
For when they had given him credence.
So when we was like, okay, he talking good, like, you know, we're going to show him respect. What?
He fell suddenly upon the city.
Uh-huh.
And smote it very sore.
Uh-huh.
And destroyed much people of Israel.
He went and killed a whole lot of our people. Once we dropped down our guard and we like, okay, you know what I mean? We're going to show Esau some respect. You know what I mean? They came here, they coming smooth, you know, talking good. All of a sudden, he just attacks everybody and start killing our people again.
Crazy.
Right? It's straight disrespecting our temple, our God, our people. They didn't show no regard for the life of the children of Israel. Right? But read on.
And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire.
He set it on fire, right? Read.
And pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side.
And you know, the crazy thing is we was ready to pay them tribute. We was sitting there like, okay, yeah, we gave them credence. We was going to pay them tribute. And they go ahead and do this for no reason. Kill our people, burn down our houses, tear down our gates. Straight disrespected us. Right? Read on. But we the angry black men, though. You feel what I'm saying? That's how they treat us. But read.
But the women and children took they captive.
They took our women and children as slaves. Right? Read.
And possessed the cattle.
Uh-huh.
Then builded they the city of David with a great strong wall.
So they took our women, children captive. They took our cattle, and they took the city of David, Bethlehem. They took that, which is a great city to us, and they took that and put a wall around it. They took that city for their own, right? Read on.
And with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them.
Right? They made the city of David their stronghold. They took that land captive. How America do today, they'll take certain areas and they'll put their embassy over it and put their gates around it. And they say, yo, this right here, once you step on their embassy territory, you in America now. No matter where you at, you step on that ground, you're in America now. You're on U.S. soil. That's what they'll say. This is how the Greeks did. America is an extension of Greeks and Rome, exactly, just like today. America is an extension of Rome and Greece. So they did that. They went there, they took our land and took it for themselves, right, Reed?
And they put therein a sinful nation.
This sinful nation. This is Greeks. These are Edomites that they put in there, a sinful nation, right? This is who they're talking about. Read.
Wicked men, and fortified themselves therein.
So they fortified themselves in our city, right? Read on.
They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. And so they became a sore snare.
So they became a sore snare. Like our people look at it, they just disgusted. They look at it, they sad. You know what I mean? Everything that they took from us, they'll put it in there and store it in there. Our armors, our armory, our jewels, everything that they took from us, our food, they stored it in there. Right? But read on.
For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary.
It was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary. The sanctuary, remember, is our temple. Right? Read on.
And an evil adversary to Israel.
Yeah, and they are an evil adversary to Israel. Right? These are our evil enemy to our people. And to this day, it's the same way. Nothing ever changed. Right? Read on.
Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary. And defiled it.
They shed innocent blood. Innocent. Our people was innocent. They shed our blood on the sanctuary and defiled it. Right? Read.
Insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them.
So a lot of our people was actually leaving Jerusalem. They had to get up out of there. They like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? They had to leave. Right? But read on.
Whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers.
Right. And
become strange to those that were born in her. And her own children left her.
Right, because it's not the land that they grew up knowing. It became a war zone. Our people was getting just killed, murdered for no reason, getting robbed for no reason. You know what I mean? It became a war zone to them. It's not the place they grew up in. Right? Read on.
Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning. Her Sabbaths into reproach. Her honor into contempt.
Right, so they defiled our sanctuary. They was killing off the priests, so they couldn't be doing no sacrifice or anything like that in there. Right, but read on.
As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased.
Her dishonor was increased, right, read.
And her excellency was turned into mourning.
Because Israel is that land of milk and honey. There was no place more beautiful than that. But now you go into Israel at this time, it's like, yo, it's just straight death and mourning, sadness. You can't enjoy nothing about it because they coming in there and taking everything from us, right? Read on.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
Right, so this is what Antiochus did, right? He's trying to get, same thing America do. Everybody is an American that's over here. You an American citizen, you American. It don't matter if you Chinese, black, you know what I mean, white, whatever. They trying to make everybody one people. You're American, right? The Antiochus are doing the same thing. Everybody's Greek. That's what they was doing. They was pushing that Hellenism, right? Read on.
And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Right.
So they trying to make it so, yo, leave your laws. You're going to follow the laws of Greece. Right? Read on.
Yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
So a lot of our coon brothers was following after him, right? Read.
and sacrificed unto idols,
Mm-hmm.
and profaned the Sabbath.
Right. So our people started doing that. They scared. A lot of our people were scared, so they started following after what Antiochus told them to do. We're gonna see why they were scared too. Read.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land,
Right. Read.
and forbid burnt offerings.
So to sacrifice to the Most High, right, to give burnt offerings to the Most High was against the law now. Right. Read.
And sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple.
Right. So all that was against the law. Worshiping, he made it so that worshiping the Most High was against the law. And a lot of our people, because they don't see the Most High, but they see Antiochus over here killing people, they were scared and followed after Antiochus, right? But read on.
And forbid burnt offerings,
Mhm.
and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple,
Mm-hmm.
and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
And they should profane the Sabbath and festival days. So he made it law that they couldn't keep the Sabbath, they couldn't keep the festival days, that they supposed to do what he wanted them to do. Right? Read.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
And they polluted the sanctuary, polluted the temple and the holy people, the Israelites. Right? Read.
Set up altars and groves.
They set up altars to sacrifice to other deities. Groves. The ancient groves was like strip clubs. They had poles and all that stuff, dancing to Astrip. This is what they was doing. Right? Read on.
And chapels of idols, and
Right.
sacrifice swine's flesh.
And that's what the Greeks always sacrificed. That was their main sacrifice, and their main meal was pork. So they had a sacrifice in swine's flesh, right? Read.
And unclean beasts.
All the stuff that the Most High told us not to do. This is what they was pushing, right? Read on.
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanliness.
So they was teaching our people, we got to leave our children uncircumcised, don't circumcise them, and make their souls abominable, all matter of uncleanness and profanation, right? Read on.
To the end they might forget the law.
This was his whole purpose. He didn't want us to keep the laws of the Most High. He wanted us to forget the laws of the Most High, right?
And change all the ordinances.
So that we followed after them. That we was their puppets and we did what they wanted us to do, right? But read on.
And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king.
So if you didn't follow this, if you didn't listen to him, if you kept the Sabbath, if you sacrificed to the Most High, if you didn't sacrifice pork, if you circumcise your child, what would happen?
He said he should die.
He'll kill you. That was a death penalty. If you followed anything that we were supposed to follow, you was getting put to death. And we got to remember, there's nothing new under the sun. We're going to have to go through the same thing again. There's going to be a time where we're going to have to resist to blood, resist to death. We're going to have to keep the laws of the Most High to death. You know what I mean? We got to be strong. That's how we get that reward. There's a lot of strong people when we read through the book of Maccabees, both first and second, right? So I suggest everybody read these, right? But read on.
In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice, city by city.
So he's commanding Israel, the cities of Judah, because right now, at this time, the northern kingdom wasn't in the land of Israel. You might have had a few stragglers over there, but the majority that was in the land of Israel was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi at this time. So he's saying, he's commanding them city by city to sacrifice to their deities, to the deities of Greece, right? Jupiter and all them, not Jupiter, Zeus and all them. That's the main one they was worshiping. Zeus, Kronos, Bacchus. You feel what I'm saying? This is what they wanted us to sacrifice to. And what you sacrifice to them, children and pork, right? But read on.
Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law.
Right. So many people forsook the law of the Most High to follow after the Romans. I keep saying Romans. The same thing, Romans, Greeks. But they followed after the Greeks, right? Read on.
And so they committed evils in the land.
Right, read.
And drove the Israelites into secret places.
So our people that wanted to keep the law, they had to run and hide. They had to run and hide, go to the wilderness, go somewhere and hide and live there to try to keep the law. Right, read.
Even wheresoever they could flee for
Succor, which is safety, to be secured, right? That's what they fled to be in safety, right? But read on.
Now the 15th day of the month,
Caslu, right?
In the 140 year.
Now we got that name Caslu. We gotta remember when we came out of our. Every time we came out of a captivity, we bought some of what the heathen did out of that captivity with us. That word Caslu, we got that from the Babylonian captivity. That was the 9th month, right? But read on.
They set up the abomination of desolation upon the.
Go ahead.
Upon the altar.
Right. So at that time, that's when the Greeks set up the abomination, desolation upon the altar. Right. Read.
And builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
So they built altars to these deities, their other deities, all through our city. Right, to make sure that we sacrifice to their gods and that we couldn't sacrifice to our God. Right. Read.
And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of law.
So when they found the Torah and they ripped them up, they ripped up all our Torahs, right? Read.
Which they found, they burnt them with fire.
They burnt our books with fire. Straight disrespect. Straight disrespect. And it shows that nobody, and it's still like this to this day, nobody wants us to follow the Most High. They'll go, they say freedom religion for everybody until it comes to us keeping the laws of the Most High. Then they got something to say. Then it's a problem. You know what I mean? It's like that to this day, right? But read on.
And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire. And whosoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
So if they found you with the Torah, you're getting put to death. They found you with any book of the law, any prophets or whatever, you're getting put to death. Same thing happened. Like, history constantly repeating itself. Same thing during slavery. They caught you with that Bible in your hand, reading that Bible, they putting you to death. They hanging you in front of everybody. You feel what I'm saying? It's the same thing is going on. They don't want us to follow the Most High because they know if we follow the Most High, we wouldn't be in this situation. Right? But read on.
Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God.
Yeah, so they sacrificed on the idol altar and sacrificed on our altar. They was doing their disgusting, abominable sacrifices upon our altar, the altar of the Most High. Right? Read on.
At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
So our women were secretly circumcising their children, trying to follow the laws of the Most High. And when they found that out, they were killing women for doing that. They was killing our sisters for being righteous women. Our sisters need to step up and continue and be righteous women like that. We might have to face death for this word. You're going to have to take that. Take that, because you're going to get a reward at the end. Death is nothing. We got to remember that. The Most High could destroy your spirit. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to stand up for this word. But right, read on.
And they hang the infants about their necks.
And they hung them infants. They killed the women, and the infants that were circumcised, they will kill them. This is how Esau is. This is the type of stuff Esau do. Them Greeks, them Romans, they've been doing this. They've been doing this. They, even to the slavery time, cut the babies out the women's bellies. Hang the babies by the umbilical cords. You feel what I'm saying? This is the type of stuff they do. They don't care nothing about the old or young. Right? But read on.
And rifled their houses. And slew them that had circumcised them.
Right. So they rifled their houses, went in there, took what they wanted to take out of there, tore their houses apart, and killed everybody that was circumcised and everybody that did the circumcision. Right? Read on.
Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
Right, so there was a lot of Israelites that was still there that stood firm to this law. And they was like, yo, listen, we're not going to sacrifice to their deities. We're going to continue getting our circumcisions. We're not eating none of that unholy and disgusting food that they trying to force us to eat. Right, read on.
Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats.
Right, they chose to die rather than be defiled. Right, read.
And that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
So they took that death. They took that death honorably. Right, read on.
And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
Yeah, very great wrath upon Israel. The Greeks were showing us no type of mercy. Right, but read on.
Chapter 2. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joarib.
Right, so this is a powerful Levite brother right here. Powerful Levite brother that stood up, right? And what happened?
From Jerusalem and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons. Joanan, called Cadiz, Simon, called Thasi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus.
Yeah, and Judas is actually the one who this book is named after. Maccabeus, meaning the hammer. They called him the hammer. They called him that for a reason. This man, this powerful priest, Mattathias, with his 5 powerful sons, right? Read on, though.
Eleazar, called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphus. Aphus. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, "Woe is me! Where was I born to see this misery of my people?"
Right, so he's seeing all this and he's hurt. He's hurt. He's seeing all the the abominations going on. He like, yo, this is not my home. Like, what's going on? Why my people got to go through this suffering? Right? But read on.
And of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy,
right,
and the sanctuary into the land of strangers,
and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Remember, this is a powerful priest. We got special connection to that sanctuary. Special connection to that temple. To see it in the hand of the strangers, that's horrible. Right? That's a horrible feeling. I can only imagine being there. Right? But read on.
Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets.
Yeah, so they took all our vessels, all our stuff, they took it away. They killing our children, right? Read.
Her young men with the sword of the enemy.
Right.
What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
So you like, yo, damn, what nation, yo? It's kind of every nation had a part in our kingdom. At this time, it was the Greeks, the Edomites, which was the last nation, because even after them, the Romans was also Edomites, the Idumeans, Edomites. You know what I mean? All the way down to England, America, France, all Edomites. This was the last nation to have part in our spoils. Right? But read on.
All her ornaments are taken away of a free woman. She has become a bond slave.
Right?
And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste.
Right.
And the Gentiles have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?
Read on.
And Matthias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore.
So they was mourning of what the temple was going through, what our people was going through, what our land was going through, right? Read on.
In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to take them sacrifice.
To make them sacrifice. Remember, they was going by city to city to make everybody sacrifice to their deities. So they wound up coming to Modin where Mattathias was, right? He came in there, the same ones that made the people to revolt because they causing all these problems, right? So the king's people came in there, and what happened?
And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
Right. So everybody that was in that city and Modin came and seeing what was going on, right? Read on.
Then answered the king's officers, and said Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler.
Right, because he was a priest. There was no sitting king at this time in Judah. When there's no sitting king, the priests rule Israel, right? So Mattathias, a powerful priest, he's a ruler, looked at as a ruler of Israel right now. So he said, "Yo, you are a ruler of Israel, right? Read."
And an honorable and great man in this city.
Right, everybody you couldn't say nothing bad about him. They kept the law. They kept the law. They did what they were supposed to do. He's a great and honorable man in the city, right? Read.
And strengthened with sons and brethren.
Uh-huh.
Now therefore come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done.
And that's what they do. A lot of times, especially in like our Black and Latino communities, what they'll do, they'll go to the religious leaders and have them push their folly. They'll have the religious leaders talk about, oh, get the juicy fruit, or you know what I mean, the religious leaders push all type of stuff. You feel what I'm saying? But read on.
Yeah, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in number of the king's friends.
Right. So he said, yo, if you go and you sacrifice to these idols and you do all this in front of everybody, yo, the king is gonna look out for you. You're gonna be considered one of his friends. He gonna make sure you good. Right?
King's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
Yeah, like what you call it? What's his name? Al Sharpton and all them. They got all that money. You feel what I'm saying? Just selling out their people. They thought Mattathias was going to be like that, right? But what happened? Read on.
Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
Shit, so Mattathias wasn't having that. He like, yo, my sons, my people, everybody that's following me, we not doing none of that. We're going to keep the covenant of the Most High. We're going to keep his commandments, right? Read.
God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left.
Yeah, so we not leaving this at all. We going to keep it how the Most High told us to do it. We're going to stand firm on this, 10 toes down. Right, read.
Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment.
So here you go. One other coon, he hearing all this. He said, but Mattathias like, yo, nah, we not doing that. This other coon came out of nowhere and said, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it, right? And what happened?
Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal.
So Mattathias saw this, like, oh, this coon right here, he got tight. He was tight. And what happened?
And his reins trembled.
So he's so mad that his hands were shaking. I know we on damn near all of us got like that. You get so mad, like I start tearing up, hands shaking, right? Read.
Trembled. Neither could he forbear to shew his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
So he was so tight, he couldn't hold that back. He just ran up and murked son right there on the altar. Killed that man right there on the altar. Right? Read on.
Also the king's commissioner.
Also the king's commissioner. So he killed him. He killed the king's commissioner. Right? Read. Powerful Levite brother. Right? Killed him. Killed the commissioner. Read.
Who compelled men to sacrifice.
The one that was telling everybody to sacrifice. He killed him. Right? Read.
He killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down.
So he broke down that altar. That altar shouldn't have been there in the first place. Right? So he killed them two right there on the altar and pulled down the altar. Right? Read.
Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like a Phineas,
like Phineas,
like as Phineas
uh-huh,
did unto Zambri,
uh-huh,
the son of
Salem,
Salem.
right? That story is about another Levite priest. Somebody grab that for me real quick. Numbers 25. I want to get Numbers 25, verse 6.
The book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 6.
Come.
And with you.
Now you can start.
And it reads, and behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought out his brethren and Midianites,
Midianites,
women, in the sight of Moses,
and
in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of tabernacle of congregation.
So the same thing is going on. This brother, this right here, he bought a woman of another nation. This was a Simeonite brother too. Simeonite brother who had a Midianite woman, a Midianite wife, and he brought her into the congregation, to the door of the congregation, right? Which is, at the time, we didn't have the temple, we had the tabernacle. So that's where he brought it to, right? But read on.
Verse 7, and when
Phineas.
And the son of Eleazar.
Yeah, Phineas, the son of Eleazar. Eleazar was Aaron was a high priest, and Eleazar, his son, became a high priest after him. Phineas was the son of Eleazar. So that's Aaron's grandson, right?
The son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, and he rose up from among the congregation and took javelin in his hand.
A javelin was like a small spear.
Okay.
Small spear. So he's seen this. This is I'm kind of convinced this is the start of the Levite Simeon beef right here. He got the Simeonite bring this other woman to the congregation, and you got this powerful Levite priest see this, and he didn't say no words. He just grabbed the javelin and did what?
In his hand, and he went after the men of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through.
So he thrust both of them through with that javelin. He killed that man that brought her in and the woman. Like, she shouldn't have been in here. You're not supposed to bring her in here. He killed both of them, right? Read. But people try to say, oh, God don't like you killing people. but we're going to see how the Most High talks about Phineas after this, right? But read on.
And he went after the men into the tent and thrust both of them through, and the men of Israel and the woman through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel.
Yeah, because Israel had went off and the Most High sent a plague. That's why everybody was at the congregation mourning. So when this Simeonite brought this Midian woman over there and Phineas killed him, that appeased the Most High. The Most High was appeased with what he did. He was happy with what he did. And he stopped the plague of Israel, right? But read on.
And he went, and verse 9, and those that died in the plague were 24,000.
So the Most High is not nothing to play around with. That plague he sent killed 24,000 people, right? But read on.
And Phineas,
verse 10.
And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, have turned my wrath away from the children of Israel.
So by him killing those two people, it made the Most High happy. It took away the Most High's wrath. Right? Read.
What was I at?
While
he was zealous for my sake among them, I consumed not the children of Israel my jealousy.
So the Most High said he was zealous for his sake. He stood up for the Most High. That's how the Most High looked at it. Right? Read on.
Wherefore say, behold, I gave unto him my covenant of peace.
Right, so he said because of that, the Most High gave him the covenant of peace, right? Read on.
And he shall have it, and his seed after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood.
He said because Phineas did that, the priesthood will always stay with Levi. And it will always stay with his children. Phineas' children will always be priests. You feel what I'm saying? Got the everlasting priesthood, right? Read on.
Because he was zealous for the Most High, and made an atonement.
Made atonement
for the children of Israel.
Right, read.
14. Now the name of the Israelite that was slain, even that slain with the Midianitish woman, was Zimri, the son of Salu, a prince chief house among the Simeonites.
Right, so he was a prince of the chief house of the Simeonites.
Salu.
Right, but read on.
And the name of the Midianitish woman that was slain was Cosby, the daughter of Zur. He was head over people. He was head over people and chief in the house of Midian.
Right. So the woman of the Midianite, she was a daughter of the chief house of the Midianites. Right. But read on.
Verse 16. And the Most High spake unto Moses, vex the Midianites and smite them.
Now, because this Simeonite took this woman in the congregation, the Most High said, "Yo, kill the Midianites for because of what she did." The Most High, that shows, because he said, "Yo, listen, one of them come against us, all of them. I mean, one mess up, yo, take them all out. They vexed us, we gonna vex them all."
Said one apple spoiled the bunch.
Facts.
That's an example that the Most High deals with nations, right?
Exactly. Nations. That's a perfect example that he deals with us as a nation. You feel what I'm saying? He said, because they vexed us, vex them, right? But read on.
For they vex you with their wiles. Wherewith they have beguiled you in the matter of pure.
Yeah, so there's other things too. Cause she went in there, he's like, yo, vex them, kill them up. But they was also, like, for instance, the Midianites worshipped a deity called Peor. Peor was a god of filth or something like that. They worship. So he like, yo, they preach. You got this woman worshiping Peor, bringing her over here. Nah, go kill him, right? But read on.
And in the matter of Cosby, the daughter of the prince Midian, his sister was slain in the day of the plague for Peor's sake.
Yeah, so he said she was slain slain of the plague for Peor's sake. You know what I mean? So go there and kill all these Midianites. So, right, we're gonna go back, but this is just showing how the Most High deals with us and how he likes for us to stand up for him. If you gotta shed blood for the Most High, by all means, shed blood for the Most High. You feel what I'm saying? That's how the Most High deals. He likes that. So so right now we see them comparing Mattathias and what he did to Phineas, right? But read on. Verse 27.
And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, Whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
Yeah, so after he killed them, he like, yo, if you want to keep the law, you want to keep this covenant, yo, follow me. Right? Read.
So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city.
Yeah, so they all went into the mountains to keep the laws perfectly. This is the start of what was called the Hasmonean dynasty. The Hasmonean dynasty, if you look in history, was led by the Levites. Right? But read on.
29. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there. Both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them.
And we know it's definitely going to increase more. Once Mattathias killed the servants of the king, you know what I mean, and everybody that was going against Israel, it was over. They like, listen, now we got to kill these people. They got to go, right? So afflictions became heavy, even more heavy on the children of Israel, right? But read on.
Now when it was told of the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, they pursued after them a great number.
Yeah, so the king sent a whole lot of his armies after trying to pursue us, get us out the wilderness and kill us, right? Read.
And having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day.
Right, so they went and made war against us on the Sabbath day. When you look in history, there's rules to war. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody had certain rules that they abide by, and they didn't disrespect people's religions and customs. You feel what I'm saying? You don't see us no time in history before this actually fighting on a Sabbath day. We didn't have to go through that. You feel what I'm saying? The Greeks have it's no filter. They don't hold back nothing. They no respect, no honor, no none of that. They went and made incense on the Sabbath day, right? Read on.
And they said unto him, Let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. But they said, We will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandments.
Right, so they standing their ground. They like, nah, we not coming forth. We're not going to do what they want. We're going to do what we're supposed to do. We're going to follow the Most High, right, Reed?
To profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed.
So they attacked our people on the Sabbath day, right, Reed?
Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them.
So these people this is unusual. This is new. We never had to fight on the Sabbath day. You feel what I'm saying? So they attacked us, and our people, we didn't do nothing. We didn't fight back or none of that. It's looking kind of it's looking bad, right? Kind of scrambled, or how you say,
blurry?
A little blurry, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's
But I guess it's all good. Hopefully, Most High willing, get a little better. But yeah, go ahead.
Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid.
Right.
But said, Let us die all in our innocency.
And they died in their innocency. They did not fight. They did not go against the Sabbath day. They did not go against the Most High. They kept their covenant, right? Read on.
Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully.
And that's faith. That's faith to sit there and actually get killed by these people because you don't want to defile the Sabbath for the Most High. That's faith that they had. And the Most High is going to bless them for that. But let's read on. Let's see what happens.
So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle, to the number of 1,000 people.
So that day they killed the Greeks killed 1,000 Israelites, 1,000 of the children of the southern kingdom.
1,000 Israelites was killed on the holy day.
On a holy day.
While they were keeping the Sabbath.
Right.
Ooh, I feel bad for those people.
Exactly. But after that, we all came to a conclusion of something, which we're about to read right now.
Now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore.
Right, they mourned for them like, oh, our righteous brothers and sisters just got murdered, right? Really?
And one of them said to another, If we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives, and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth.
Right, so they realized, like, yo, we can't just sit back. We can't just let them kill us off, because these people is not fighting fair. They're not fighting like anybody else in history. They going against every rule of war ever. You feel what I'm saying? So they was like, yo, listen, we can't let them do that. Right? So read on.
At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, Whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against him. Neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places.
Right. So after that day, they say, we're going to fight. Whoever comes to us, we're not going to go to nobody. Whoever comes to us, we're going to defend ourselves. Now, the Romans used to do the same thing. They'll attack us on a Sabbath day because they said on the day of Saturn, because we kept it a holy day. So they said on the Sabbath day, we will only fight defensively. We wouldn't attack, we'll just defend ourselves. That's it. But we defended ourselves. So from now on, so we know if anybody want to try to attack us on the Sabbath day, you won't get hurt. Let that be known. You know what I mean? But we could drop this. Let's drop this. Let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 4. Chapter 4, verse 36, right? We're not going to go through the whole book of the Maccabees. You know what I mean? We're going to go just, key points real quick.
This is The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 6.
36.
Oh, 36.
Come. We're going to get into where Hanukkah came from, right?
Verse 36.
Uh-huh.
Then said Judas and his brethren, Behold, our enemies are
Discomforted.
discomfited.
Yeah, so we was putting that work in. We got the Greeks running scared right now. He said, yo, they backed up, they discomforted, like we doing them filthy right now, right? So read on.
Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary.
So we had a chance to go back, take back our temple. Remember, they was doing all type of, they had whores, they having orgies, all type of crazy stuff. Like, you gotta read this book. They was doing all type of crazy stuff in our temple, right? So he said, yo, let's come back, let's cleanse our temple and rededicate it back to the Most High, right? Read.
Upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion.
Right, read.
And when they saw the sanctuary desolate and the altar profaned and the gates burned up and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest.
So the place was not taken care of. The Levites had a lot of work. The Levites made sure the temple stayed good, clean, no shrubs growing. Everything was taken care of. Now they come back because the Levites wasn't able to be there. They saying the shrubs growing up in the courts, like going through the stone and all that stuff. They see the pig's blood on the altar, all type of crazy stuff that was there, right? You read on?
Or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down. They rent their clothes and made great lamentation.
They were sad seeing that. Imagine the last time you in the temple, you seen it. The temple was always like the most beautiful place in Israel. Most beautiful place. Everybody looked at it, it's the most beautiful place in glory. And then you come back and then seeing it just destroyed, defiled. That's just, you know what I mean? So they were sad over that, right? But read on.
And cast ashes upon their heads and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces.
Right.
And blew an alarm with the trumpets and cried toward heaven.
Right, read on.
Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary.
Right, so he picked, because the Greeks that was in the land right now, they had themselves locked up in a fortress. Remember, they took over Bethlehem and locked themselves in their fortress. So Judas Maccabeus, he had certain men. He's like, yo, you go fight against them. Keep them in there. Know what I mean? Fight against them while we take over, while we cleanse and get that sanctuary back correct. Right? But read on.
So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in law.
Right? So he chose the priests that everybody knew was keeping the law and doing everything correct. Read.
Who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place.
Right, so they cleaned up the sanctuary, threw out all the stones with the pig's blood on it. Right, read on.
And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, that thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them.
Right, so they defiled the altar, so they pulled it down and made a whole new altar.
Because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them.
Right.
Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former.
Right, so they built a whole new altar for the Most High. Right, but read on.
And made up the sanctuary and the thing that were within the temple, and hollowed the courts.
Right, so they blessed the courts, cleaned up everything, right? But read on.
They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick and the altar of burnt offerings, and of incense and the table.
Right, read on.
And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light into the temple.
Right, so they try to make it look like it was just before. Right, but read on.
Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the vials, and finished all the works which they had begun to make. Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Keslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning and offered sacrifices according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had made.
Right. So now they got the temple back up and running.
Wait, so what month is Caslu?
Caslu is the 9th month. That's the month we're in right now.
Okay.
All right, we'll read on.
Look, at what time and what day the heathen hath profaned it. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success.
So they praising and blessing the Most High, saying, "Yo, thank you for letting us get our temple back. Thank you for giving us this how you say, victory over the Greeks, because at this time the Greeks is the most powerful army on the earth, and we see throughout history Levi constantly beating the most powerful armies on the earth, right? But they the most powerful army on the earth, right? Read on.
55. Then all the people fell on their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offerings with gladness, and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise.
Right, so this is where we get the Feast of Dedication from. Us rededicating the temple, taking it back, cleaning it up, and rededicating it to the Most High. Right, but read on.
They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed, and hanged doors upon them. Thus was their very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away.
Come, right? So the reproach of the heathen was put away. Let's jump real quick to 2 Maccabees, chapter 1. We're on chapter 1. Now this is a letter. We're gonna read the whole thing pretty much. This is a letter that they sent out to the Israelites all over, scattered abroad, right?
So like you said, 2 Maccabees?
Yeah, 2 Maccabees chapter 1.
It's the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 1. The brethren, the Jews that be at Jerusalem and in the land of Judea, which wish unto the brethren, the Jews that are throughout Egypt, health and peace. God be gracious unto you, and remember his covenant that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah, so he's sending this letter out to all the Israelites surrounding them, right? To let them know what was going on. Right, read on.
His faithful servants, and give you all an heart to serve him and to do his will with a good courage and a willing mind.
So he giving that letter of courage. We need to follow the Most High. We got to remember our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who was righteous men. You know what I mean? That faithful servants of the Most High. We got to follow in their footsteps and follow the Most High, right? But read on.
And give you all willing mind, and open your hearts in his law and commandments, and send you peace, and hear your prayers, and be at one with you, and never forsake you in time of trouble.
Right, read on.
And now we be here praying for you. What time as Demetrius reigned in the 169th year.
Demetrius was the king of the Medes and Persians, right? Read on.
We the Jews wrote unto you in the extremity of trouble that came upon us in those years, from the time that Jason and his company revolted from the Holy Land and kingdom, and burned the porch, and shed innocent blood. Then we prayed unto the Lord, and were heard. We offered also sacrifices, and fine flour, and lighted the lamps, and set forth the loaves.
Right.
And now see that ye keep the Feast of Tabernacles in the month of Kislew.
Right, so they letting them know. Make sure They letting you know the same way we keep the Feast of Tabernacle, right? Read.
In the 184th year,
Uh-huh.
the people that were at Jerusalem in Judea and the council and Judas sent greeting and health unto Aristobulus, king.
Yeah. Well. Aristobulus.
Aristobulus, king Ptolemaeus,
Uh-huh.
master, who was of stock of the anointed priests,
Uh-huh.
and to the Jews that were in Egypt.
Right.
Insomuch as God hath delivered us from great perils, we thank him highly, as having been in battle against a king, for he cast them out that fought within the holy city.
So he's talking about all the time, Most High basically looking after us and he casting people out, right? The way the Most High fights for us, right? But read on.
For when the leader was come into Persia, and the army with him that seemed invincible, they were slain in the temple of Nania by the deceit of Nania's priest. For Antiochus, as though he would marry her, came into the place, and his friends that were with him to receive money in name of dowry, which when the priest of Nania had set forth, and he was entered with a small company into the compass of the temple, they shut the temple as soon as Antiochus was come in, and opening a privy door of the roof, they threw stones like thunderbolts, and struck down the captain, hewed them in pieces, smote off their heads, and cast them to those that were without.
Right.
Blessed be our God in all things, who hath delivered up the ungodly. Therefore, whereas we are now purposed to keep the purification of temple upon 25th day of the month, Kislew, we thought it necessary to certify you thereof, that ye also might keep it. As
so they letting everybody know to keep this. This is a holiday. This is not given by the Most High. This is something that we came up with. But they urging all of Israel to keep this, and they dedicated it. They did it as the way we did the Feast of Tabernacles, right? The 8 days, right? But read on.
As the Feast of the Tabernacles, and of the fire which was given us when Nehemiah offered sacrifice. After that, he had builded the temple and the altar.
All right, so that's it on that. So yeah, we want to make sure we keep this feast, because this is dedicated to the Most High, and it's showing us, that the Most High is gonna fight for us. We rededicated the temple to the Most High, so on and so forth. Right? Let's get real quick. John chapter 10. John chapter 10, verse 22. John chapter 10, verse 22. Chapter 10, verse 22.
Con. This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 2.
22.
Oh, why do I keep doing that?
That's so good.
22. And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication, and it was winter.
It was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it's at winter. Now, we seeing this because some people like, oh, it's not in the Bible. The whole time we was reading the Apocrypha, which is proven history, right? But we see the Feast of Dedication, which is Hanukkah, in the Bible, and it's at winter time. So if you keep in the Feast of Dedication and it's not winter time, you're doing it in the wrong month. You're doing it in the wrong month. We seen people doing the Feast of Dedication, last month? You feel what I'm saying? Where the winter time didn't even start until the 20th of December during the winter solstice. So if you're doing it any time before then, you're in the wrong month.
John what?
10:22.
John chapter 10, verse 22. Right? So yeah, read that again.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 22.
Uh-huh.
And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication, and it was winter.
Uh-huh. Read on.
And Jesus walked in the temple in Solomon's porch.
And Yahushua walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. So we see Yahushua keeping the feast of dedication. He made sure he went to the temple. He was walking in Solomon's porch on the feast of dedication in the wintertime. We're supposed to follow after what Yahushua did. You know what I'm saying? If Yahushua did it, we're supposed to be doing it. Right? Just to put that out there. Real quick, let's grab 1 John. 1 John chapter 2, verse 3. 1 John chapter 2, verse 3. We see Yahushua keeping the feast of dedication in the wintertime, the right time to do it. Right? But read on.
Oh.
No, 1 John. 1 John. Yeah, 1 John chapter 2, verse 3. Whoever got it could read it.
This is the book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse 3.
Uh-huh.
And hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments.
So that's how we know the Most High. That's how we know Yahushua. If we keep his commandments, right? Read.
Verse 3. And hereby we do know slightly.
Verse 4.
He that saith, I know him, and speaketh not his commandments,
and
keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him.
So yeah, we know mainly for them Christian church right now. You say you know him, they say they followers of Christ, and they keeping not the commandments which he kept. You're a liar, and the truth is not in you, right? But read on.
Verse 5. But whoso keepeth his word, in him verily, right? Verily is the love of power perfected.
Right. Those that keep the words and commandments, in them is the love of the Most High perfected. Right. But read on.
Hereby know we that we are in him.
That's how you know we're in him. If we're keeping his commands, if we following in the way he walked. Right. But read on.
He that saith he abideth in him.
Abideth
in him. Himself also so to walk, even as he walked. So those that say they abide in him, they follow Yahushua, we're supposed to be doing what he did. We see him keeping the feast of dedication. We see him keeping Passover. We see him keeping all these holy days, the Sabbath day. So if you are a follower of Yahushua, the follower of Christ, you're supposed to be doing what he did, which is keeping these same holidays. He kept the feast of dedication. We're supposed to be keeping the feast of dedication, right? Read on. Brethren, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment which ye have heard from the beginning. So he's saying there's nothing new. He's writing the same commandments that we heard from the beginning. Read. The old commandment is the word which ye have heard from the beginning. Same thing that we heard from the beginning. You could drop that. That's good. Right? That brings me on to my next topic, because we were talking about these powerful Levites going against the Greeks, right? We're talking about these powerful Levites going against the Greeks. Give me a sec. So right now, we're going to go into some more powerful Levites. Hey! Hey! Gotta represent. Gotta represent. Gotta represent. I just threw it up. Oh, okay. Yeah, let me pause that. I gotta represent because, right now, January 1st, 1804, we defeated Napoleon's army. That's prophecy, according to the Most High, right? Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 33. I'm gonna make this quick. This part is just quick. I just wanted to show that this prophecy, and we should be celebrating it. We should celebrate every time a group of Israelites defeat the enemy. We should be celebrating that.
We're having a nice drink tonight, then, huh?
We having a nice drink tonight.
Oh, praises.
You already know. Deuteronomy chapter 33. Salakia, I'm running a little late. 33. We're gonna read from verse. We're not gonna read the whole thing. We're gonna read. Deuteronomy 33, and we're going to read verse 8.
Verse 8. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 3, verse 8. And of Levi he said, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be the Holy One.
Be with thy Holy One.
Be with thy Holy One.
The Holy One, because they're the priests of the Most High God. Levi is a priest of the Most High God. He said, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with the Holy One. Though that Thummim and Urim is kind of like crystal balls. It was some things that the Most High gave to the Levites where they be able to see into the spiritual realm. And they could give answers and be able to let people know what they need to do because the Most High is giving them that information.
Voodoo.
Yeah, you could say that because voodoo, in all honesty, voodoo, we gotta remember, we are joined. Levi means, or lawyer means joined to him. We're joined to the Most High God, right? So we draw our power straight from the Most High. Now he said, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with our Holy One. We're not going to lose that. We still have it, but what our people do, we do it on the wrong side right now. We do it wickedly. You feel what I'm saying?
What would we call it? What would y'all call it in
we didn't call it nothing.
Righteous way? Oh,
we didn't have no name for it. It's just
how did it become voodoo?
That's just the name they gave to it. I don't know how that name came to it. I don't know, but and that's something I'm gonna look into. Matter of fact, now that you say that, but even when you look at voodoo ceremonies, which if you actually look up voodoo ceremonies, you're going to see them doing the same thing that the Levite priest was doing. When the way they sprinkle the blood, put the blood on the thumb and a big toe and so on. All they the same thing, but we now doing it in wickedness. You feel what I'm saying? But he's saying, Moses is letting us know that spiritual power is going to stay with Levi, whether they good or not.
And do you have to be a full-blood Levite?
For what?
How do you...
you a Levite. You a Levite from your father. If you a Levite, it don't matter.
I'm saying, but any Levite can just do that?
I would say so, to be honest
That's
with you.
What I'm asking. Okay.
I would say so. There's times, like, I heard stories where people that dealt with... I had somebody actually tell me, they was like, yo, Haitians got the most powerful voodoo. I done heard somebody else...
My mother been telling me this for years.
Yeah, I heard somebody else, like, my man was Jamaican. His uncle was big into... his uncle was Cuban, though. But he's big into that voodoo stuff. And he was like, yo, they both said the same thing. Yo, Haitians got the most powerful voodoo. You feel what I'm saying? I had heard one brother say, yo, he was talking to some girl that dealt with voodoo, and she found out he was Haitian. She's like, yo, teach me. Because Haitians got, or it's just, we draw that power straight from the Most High. You draw that power straight from the Most High. And
my thing is like the people that's, okay, because you can go down to Louisiana and be...
Those are Levites too.
Right, they're Levites. Right. You can go down there and they got little voodoo yards and all of that. You can go tents and they got but how do you know that's the person that actually do it? I don't understand. Like, I know everybody that...
You sound like you trying to look for them.
Nah, I'm just saying, I don't know if every Levite has that power.
I guess if they study into it, you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Like, I know for a fact that
that power.
Yeah, you got, I guess everything goes into studying. I don't know how to do no voodoo, but I know my pops told me stories about his grandfather, which did some stuff. I done heard stories, you feel what I'm saying? So I know it's in there. And when you go to Haiti, it's big. It's big all over Haiti. Yeah. It's like their main religion, pretty much. You feel what I'm saying? So it's something that comes naturally. If you learn it, you learn it. You practice anything. You know what I mean? But like Moses is letting you know right now, from this statement alone, he letting you know that power is going to stick with Levi. They got it. You feel what I'm saying? I guess they just got to draw into that power, but they got it. Right? But read that again, verse 8.
Read that from the top, yeah. And of Levi, he said, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou didst prove at Massah, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah.
Right, and that's a gift. That was a gift from the Most High. Why? What he just said. And that's Exodus chapter 32, verse 25. Let's grab that real quick. We're going to come right back to this, though. Exodus 32, 25. This is why, because Levi always, as a people, you see how Mattathias then showed his zeal for the Most High by killing those people. We see how Phineas showed his zeal for the Most High. The whole tribe of Levi showed that same zeal before that even happened. Right? Calling and
You
reading.
said Exodus 22:35?
32. 32:25. 32:25. That's no problem.
Does anybody else got that?
Yeah, and it reads,
Mm-hmm.
and when Moses saw that people were naked, that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked until their shame among their enemies.
And this is showing, like, when this actually is a precept you could go to for Genesis when they talk about Adam and Eve, not showing that they wasn't literally naked. Because this is not talking about them literally being naked. This is talking about them going and worshiping that calf. That's what it's talking about. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like you lift somebody lifting your skirt, showing that you know what I mean, you went off, basically.
Is it me or you frozen?
Huh? I don't know. I got out of there. But
okay, we good.
Okay. But yeah, read on.
Exodus 32, verse 26. Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, "Who is on the Most High side?"
So yeah, so he see all these people, or the whole. Oh, let me pause this real quick. I'm messed up. He said all the nation, the whole nation of Israel wound up worshiping that calf that Aaron made, and Aaron made it because everybody scared him. They like, yo, make us a god, make us a god. And he wound up doing it, which he shouldn't have did.
That's right. This is when the Levites was ready to smite everybody out, right?
Right. Levi as a tribe.
Or they did, didn't
they? They did. We about to read that. As a tribe, Levi always stood up for the Most High.
Yeah, he said, "Yo, stand up."
Con, let's read that. Read on.
26. Start at the top. Then Moses stood at the gate of the camp and said, "Who was with the Most High side? Who's on the Most High side?"
Moses stood up, powerful Levite, stood up, said, "Yo, who's on the Most High side?" And what happened?
"Let him come unto me, and all the sons."
And what?
And all the sons of Levi.
And all the sons of Levi. All the sons of Levi did what?
Gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, "Thus saith the Most High of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor."
So he said, "I don't care if they Israel, man. They went off. Go there, kill everybody." Right? Read.
And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses.
They did according to that word. They went out there and they was slaying things. They was killing people.
Yeah, that's right. That's the verse right here. And there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men.
They killed the whole tribe of Levi. Went and killed 3,000 men that day. Right? Read on.
For Moses has said, what's that? Consecrate yourselves to the day of the Most High, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you blessings this day.
Right. So that's what Moses is talking about when they proved themselves. They proved themselves to the Most High that they was for the Most High. So that was a blessing that the Most High gave them. Right. But read on. Verse 8. Verse 8 of 33. Actually, verse 9. Verse 9. Deuteronomy 33, verse 9.
Who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant.
Because they observed thy word and kept their covenant. They wasn't showing mercy to nobody. Nobody was getting no favoritism, none of that. Your parents, your children, none of that. They went off with their heads. They getting stoned. You feel what I'm saying? That's how Levi was. Right? But read on.
They shall teach Jacob thy judgments.
They shall teach Jacob thy judgments, and we're going to get that back. The Most High said that covenant would never leave Levi. That covenant would never leave Levi, right? So he said he's going to teach us we're going to teach them the judgments, right? Read.
And Israel thy law.
Right? Read.
They shall put incense before thee, and whole burnt sacrifice upon thine altar.
They're going to put incense before thee and a whole burnt sacrifice upon thine altar. That next temple that comes, when you read Ezekiel chapter 40 and on, it lets you know that the Most High is going to set the Levites back up. They're going to send out them prayers for Israel and them sacrifices. You feel what I'm saying? But read on.
Bless Lord his substance, and accept the work of his hands.
He said, bless the substance and the work of their hands. Like, leave our hard workers and what they do, what they put their hands to, they do good. You feel what I'm saying? That's known. Right? But read on.
Smite through the loins of them that rise against him.
And that's what we get today. He said, smite through the loins. When them French, the French Napoleon's army rose against us, we smote through their loins, right? And what?
And of him that hate him.
And of them, because we know Esau hates us. They hate us with a passion. So we smote through their loins. Not only did we do that, but after we got our independence, we sent warriors everywhere. We fought alongside the Mexicans, Issachar, alongside Colombia. It's to the point where Colombia and Venezuela, their flag was modeled after our flag. Their flag was modeled after one of our flags. Because we went through a few different flags.
Fought with Colombia?
Yeah. We helped them get their independence.
To who? From us?
From the Spanish.
Oh.
You gotta remember, y'all was under the Spanish. We helped them get their independence. Anybody that was able to escape from anybody who was able to escape any type of from slavery, come to Haiti. You're good. That was known. Everybody that was able to escape, they came to Haiti. That was a refuge place, right?
Yeah.
But we don't
learn that in school. Haiti was a refuge place.
Rise against him. And of them that hate him, that they rise not again.
He said, smite through them that rise against him, that they do not rise again. That French army, the most powerful army in the world, Napoleon, they teach Napoleon in the schools that he was a military genius. Yeah. After dealing with us, it was over. The French never rose again. All praises to the Most High. So that's prophecy. That's prophecy being fulfilled, and we should celebrate that. You know what I mean? And I'm biased, but still. That's prophecy, right? But he says, smite to them that they do not rise again. And with that, how long we was on? About 2 hours?
Hour 40.
Hour 40, yeah. With that, we'll close up and get ready to go to camp. I want to say all praises to the Most High. You know what I mean? Shalom, Yasharala, stay strong. Hope y'all enjoyed this. And any questions, put them in the comments. We'll get to them. Shalom.
Shalom.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
All right.